doing this because solutions actually exist and deserve to be better known. And we're also doing it because those who will ultimately have the responsibility to address this issue, governments and their civil society partners, as well as the international community, they're asking us for guidance on how to do it.
It's now widely accepted that Europe's solutions need to take place in an integrated manner, or even that we should not distinguish between refugee and IDP returnees and host communities. National ownership and leadership are key and have so far been missing elements in pursuing sustainable solutions to internal displacement.
Today, I would like to share with you a successful scenario that took place in Iraq. Overall, from 2014 to 2017, we had about 6 million internal displaced people. No country in the world, and I say it and underline that, no country in the world be prepared enough to take care of such a massive internal displacement to accommodate them and put in place. But we managed to the best that we could. About 5 years, from 2014 till now, we had about 6 million, as I mentioned. Almost 5 went back.
We are trying to locally integrate them and create conditions for the future so they can go to their homes. That we should always consult and include IDPs in their decision-making process.
We try also to encourage local authorities to include return and resettlement plans in their work plans. So I think the way forward, it's about finding a balance between data management and in-depth face-to-face follow-up. That means it's not only about what the data says about people, but what do you see?
Displacement is an issue that is near and dear to my heart as somebody who was born in the early years of the civil war in Lebanon. Access to services and better standards of living was a key driver to locally integrate in their new urban homes.
We find also that they are highly rejected by the public, so the public cannot understand why displaced people are coming to Lagos when Lagos is already overpopulated.
Return is often put forward as the most preferable solutions for IDPs. And actually what it tells us is that the context in Bangui is not yet ready, not yet conducive for returns. However, there are means that there are ways to support integration.
And the 17 million IDP children that are displaced by conflict and violence is 17 million lives, but this is probably, as you said, a very, very severe underestimate.
To agree on common standards, on common principles, and also on common safeguards for children. And this is something also that, as part of the data gaps, we are lacking.
It's not the same to be displaced to a camp, to be displaced to a community, be displaced to a city versus rural area. Like, this level of nuance is actually what's needed to really pinpoint who's vulnerable.
We need to understand the prevalence of the push factors, the triggers to decide to flee, the special needs for children and their families on the move, and the lack of care and protection.
And in order for us to understand the degree of disaster displacement in Brazil, there must be specific changes made in the policies and also in the data collection procedure.
And for that, we developed a framework with IOM, DTM, and the Returns Working Group in Iraq, where basically we wanted to know, summarize all the data into one index.
Being low levels of positive peace, which means lower resilience, will be impacted harder by the same type of natural disaster, which means more people will be killed, injured, displaced, and more infrastructure will also be destroyed, which means it will be much more difficult for those who were displaced to get back to their initial location or to return to their homes.
Hey, I'm Shankar. I'm at Facebook, and I work on disaster mapping products at Facebook, where we produce maps that describe the impact of natural disasters upon populations, and we've been collaborating with IDMC on a map to measure long-term displacement.
So I'm going to leave you with this quote from our country manager in Tanzania, who always say, like, to be on a map is to be acknowledged, is to be known, is to be recognized, it's to be counted.
That integration is a two-way street, and that both displaced and hosting communities have to adapt.
We are talking about communities being at the center of the decisions in terms of what has to be done, when and where.
You can have all the consultations you like. It's not going to happen. Durable solutions or implementing, assisting populations to find their durable solutions is not going to happen if you don't have the government not only in the lead, but actively engaged in it.
It was stipulated in point 2 that the government should undertake to create a favorable conditions for the voluntary return and the social reintegration of all refugees and displaced persons.
The system is there. It's the operationalization, I would say, is an issue.
Work on the basis of need, not status, which means that we look at the needs not just of IDPs, but of host communities, trapped populations, and those people who choose to stay at home or who cannot leave.
The one thing that's clear to me is that solutions must be as tailored and as comprehensive as the problems that they seek to address are diverse and are complex. We need to put people at the center, and this is what IDMC is all about. It's about compiling the data and the knowledge and the evidence that's out there and making it available to whoever needs it.